coming off of 2011 baseball season, won the final Lone Star Conference championship in its old format. And how did that feel, with the rivalries and stuff you'd built up over the years to go in and win the last one when you're on your way out the door?
Well, it always feels good to win, and this one had a special attraction to us, I guess you might say, and that was the fact that it was going to be the last one. And that was the challenge that Coach Baxter put out early in the year, that to see who could win the last conference championship in the Lone Star. And it just happened that we were in position to do that. So it's always good to go out on top, and felt like that we did leave the Lone Star on top of it. So it's a good feeling.
Now, this is going to be about your signing class, but to have a signing class, you got to have spots for them to fill, and you've got a few of those. You lost a couple of All-Americans that have gone on to play pro ball now, and Justin Miller and Heath Wyatt. Talk a little bit about some of the places that you need to fill in.
Well, you're right about you always lose guys. You never go into a new year without having to replace some guys, and our ball club last year was a super bunch of guys, and it was a great ball club. So that left some big holes to fill, and Justin Miller and Heath White were two of the guys. They were picked the MVP by their teammates, at the end of the year, and both of those guys had opportunities to go sign pro contracts. Both of them have gone out and played well, and so they were just tremendous ball players for us. Of course, we had a lot of other seniors that were good for us also, and so every year you're going to have to replace guys, and so it's not anything new for us. We just have to go reload and get some good guys, and we feel like that it's been a good year for us.
Now, getting into the newcomers this year, you've got 10 guys coming in new. We'll just start going down the list, talk a little bit about each one of them.
Well, of course, first thing that when we talk about reloading guys, and I think that we start with pitching, and as I said, we lost some good guys led by Heath White, our closer. And so we had to go out and find some pitching, and three guys that we brought in were Levi Lewis and Nick Grimmett and Brandon Maris. And these guys were, two of them were JUCO guys, one was a D1 transfer, and so far this fall they've lived up to what we expected them to be, and so we feel like that we've closed some holes. I'll tell you this, we had a little bit of a disappointment in a guy that we'd recruited, and ended up he didn't come, and so that would have helped us, I think, a little bit more so. But we feel good about our pitching staff. We had some very good guys coming back, and as I said a minute ago about the closer, he was an outstanding guy, and it's going to be a while before we can replace a guy like that. So you just have to do the best you can and get some guys in that position to do the same thing he did. As far as catching, we brought in Kenny Acosta from Western Junior College. Kenny and Levi were both on a national championship ball club from Western Oklahoma, so they've been to the big show, and we felt like that they were both good players that could come in and help us. We return our good catcher Schenkel, and he's a 2-year guy for us, and so we feel like that Shank is going to carry the load there, but we felt like we needed some depth, and we know that as we went into the playoffs last year that Schenkel was having to catch double headers, 2 9-inning ball games, and so for him to be good and strong, we've got to give him some rest, and so that's where Kenny Acosta comes in. We think that he can do that for us. Around the infield, we have a guy that was on our campus last year, Cameron Mann. Cameron is going to be a guy that can also play catcher for us. He can play first base, third base. He's the guy that is going to go, and we're going to pick a 9-inning ball game this year, and we're going to let him play all 9 positions. So he's kind of a returning guy, but not really. He didn't play last year, so we're looking for good things out of him. Again, Nick Grimmett is the guy that when he was at a D1 place last year, he was primarily a pitcher, and we know that when he was in JUCO, he was also a hitter, first baseman, so we've got him at first base some, and pitching also for us. Cameron Green is another D1 transfer that came in from Temple, Temple University, and he's also a utility, versatile type guy that can play first base, third base for us, and give us experience. He's a McAllister, Eastern Oklahoma connection, so he's a local guy for us, and we feel good about him. At second base, we also have a D1 guy. Spencer Barnett came in from Oral Roberts University, and of course he's had connections with our whole ball club for the last 2 or 3 years, and we feel good that he wanted to come here for his last season, and we think that he can play second base, third base, even he thinks he can play first base or catch, so we'll see about that, but we're looking at him as a middle infielder type guy. Keith Price is a surprise to us. Keith was a guy from Eastern that was planning on going to a D1 university back east, and at the last minute felt like some situations were right for him to stay here, and again he fits into our mold of what we like in players, and that is that he's a local area guy, and he's familiar with our players and just our program in general, and we feel like that he can also play second base, shortstop, third base, and give us some depth there. We also picked up a young guy named Evan Ramsey that had some junior college experience at North Central Texas, and we feel like that he's a young player. He, I think, would be classified as a sophomore, so he's probably a year or so away from being ready to play at this level, but we know that he can run and throw and do some things like that, so he's a guy that we'll count on a little bit down the line a little bit more. In the outfield, we added 2 guys. Both of these guys had D1 experience, and that was Justin Klusak. Klusak was a guy that we'd recruited several years ago out of high school to play football and baseball, and he decided to go JUCO in Eastern, and after that he went to New Mexico State for a year, and he played in the fall there, and then was sick in the spring, so he had to drop out and come home, and so that was our good fortune that he was around the area. And again, when I think that the addition of some of his friends from Eastern, I think made a big difference in whether he would come here. So Klusak is a guy that can play center field, right field, and he adds speed and power to our ball club, so he's outstanding for us. Peter Bacco is a guy that we knew at Connors Junior College, and he went to North Carolina State and got to play some out there, and when he was at Connors he was a All-American catcher, and had some great power, and was drafted out of Connors, I think by the Pirates, and chose to go to he's an outstanding student. That's one good thing about Peter, and he's a pre-med type guy, and so he's went to North Carolina and then chose to come back here for his last season. So he's a guy that gives us speed and a left-handed stick in the lineup, and also some depth in the outfield. So that's about the 10 guys that we really went after as far as our recruiting class for this year, and we feel good about them. We're going to have some scrimmages this fall, and we feel like these guys are going to be ready to play for us come springtime.